What if the Mongol Empire had conquered Europe? In the year 1241, Europe stood on the edge of annihilation. Two massive armies were destroyed in a matter of days. Kings fled their capitals, cities emptied, church bells rang non-stop, warning of an enemy no one could stop. From the east came riders who didn't siege slowly, they erased entire armies. And then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the Mongols turned back. But what if they hadn't? By the early 13th century, the Mongol Empire was already the largest land empire in human history. Forged by Genghis Khan, it stretched from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. But this wasn't a horde of chaotic barbarians, it was a highly organized war machine. Mongol armies moved faster than any force the world had ever seen. They relied on light cavalry, composite bows with deadly range, feigned retreats that lured enemies into traps, and an intelligence network that mapped enemy lands in advance. They also brought something Europe didn't expect: siege engineers from China and Persia, experts in gunpowder weapons, catapults, and city-breaking tactics. By the time Europe heard of them, the Mongols had already destroyed entire civilizations. The Mongol invasion of Europe didn't begin in Western Europe. It began with the destruction of Kievan Rus. City after city fell, Kiev was burned. Eastern Europe collapsed almost overnight. In 1241, the Mongols split their forces, a classic move. One army swept into Poland, where European knights met them at the Battle of Legnica. The result was catastrophic. The Mongols' feigned retreat encircled the army and wiped it out. Days later, another Mongol force crushed the Kingdom of Hungary at the Battle of Mohi. The Hungarian army was annihilated. The king barely escaped. Hungary lay open. Vienna was exposed. Western Europe stood defenseless. Nothing stood between the Mongols and the heart of the continent, and then the impossible happened. At the height of their momentum, the Mongols stopped. The reason wasn't a European victory. It wasn't a failed campaign. It wasn't resistance. It was politics. The great Khan, Ogedei, ruler of the Mongol Empire, had died in late 1241. By Mongol tradition, the royal princes had to return east to decide succession. So Batu Khan and his generals withdrew. Europe wasn't saved by strength, it was saved by timing. Now imagine a single change. Ogedei Khan doesn't die in 1241, no recall order is issued. No withdrawal. The Mongol armies stay in Europe, fully supplied, undefeated, and unstoppable. This is where history breaks. With Hungary destroyed, the road into Central Europe lies wide open. Vienna falls, not after a heroic stand, but because no unified army arrives to defend it. The Holy Roman Empire, already fractured into rival princes, fails to coordinate a response. This is Europe's greatest weakness. There is no central command, no standing armies, no unified strategy. Castles don't save the continent. The Mongols bypass strongholds, devastate the countryside, and starve cities into surrender. Those that resist are destroyed as examples. German lands fracture completely, refugees flood westward. Trade routes collapse. Europe isn't conquered in one dramatic battle, but it unravels. As Mongol forces push deeper, panic reaches France and Italy. Feudal armies, slow, rigid, and politically divided, prove useless against mobile horse archers. Knights charge, they die. Northern Italy's wealthy city-states become prime targets. Their riches fund Mongol expansion further west. The papacy flees Rome, fearing capture. Religious authority fractures alongside political power. England remains protected for now by the English Channel, but the continent is breaking. Entire cities surrender without a fight, knowing resistance means annihilation. The psychological war is total. But this isn't the end of Europe. Even the Mongols had limits. Western Europe's dense forests, colder climate, and wet terrain would strain horse-based armies. Supply lines stretched dangerously long, and above all, Mongol politics never stay stable for long. Succession disputes were inevitable. Civil wars always followed the death of a great Khan. Instead of total occupation, the Mongols likely established tributary states, puppet rulers, client kingdoms that feed the empire without constant military presence. Europe isn't erased, it's bent. Now imagine the world that follows. The Renaissance is delayed or radically altered. Without stable kingdoms, patronage for art and science dries up. But something else happens sooner. East-West exchange explodes. Gunpowder spreads faster. Paper money appears earlier. Trade routes link Europe directly into Asian networks. National identities take longer to form. Strong monarchies don't rise as early. Christianity survives, but political authority over Europe is permanently weakened. Europe still rises, but not as the dominant force we recognize today. The modern world shifts eastward. So why did Europe survive? Not because it was stronger, not because it was smarter, not because it was united. Europe survived because of chance. One death, thousands of miles away, ended the greatest invasion in history, and had that moment gone differently, the world we live in could be unrecognizable. Europe didn't defeat the Mongols, time did. I appreciate you watching the video. Please leave a like, as it helps the video go out to others. Before I go, I'll leave you with a quote from Genghis Khan: "The strength of a wall is neither greater nor less than the courage of the men who defend it." Do consider subscribing for more content like this. I'll catch you on the next video.